Brown University has released the demographic data for some members of its class of 2028. Let's dissect this data today. My name is Craig Meister. I'm a college admissions coach. You can learn more about me and how you can work with me one-on-one throughout the entire college admissions process on my website, which is collegemeister.com. And if you're interested in learning about whether or not you are or your student is on track for selective college admission in the United States of America, visit areyouontracktogetin.com. Again, that's areyouontracktogetin.com, at which you will complete a free 3-minute assessment. Your results will be emailed to you right away, and they will help you clarify whether or not you are or your student is on track for selective college admission in the United States of America. The headline from Brown is Brown's newest students by the numbers. Brown University welcomed a total of 3,289 students to campus for the official start of the 2024-2025 academic year this week, with fall classes starting on Wednesday, September 4th. For the undergraduate class of 2028, 1,725 new incoming first-year students began their studies, in addition to an accomplished cohort of undergraduate transfer students and doctoral, master's, and medical students. The 23-24 admission cycle marked the first since the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to prohibit consideration of race in admissions decisions. Brown leaders emphasized after the June 2023 ruling that the university would comply with the law while remaining firmly committed to advancing the diversity that is central to achieving the highest standards of academic excellence and preparing students to grow and lead in a complex world. Among Brown's new first-year students, 18% come from groups historically underrepresented in higher education, a decline from 27% in 2023. The rate of students opting not to report race increased significantly, with Brown seeing a near doubling of the number of new undergraduates who did not report their race. Quote, even with a significant number of measures in place to ensure a diverse, talented applicant pool and enrolled class, we recognize the likelihood that declines in the number of students of color at Brown and other selective universities were widely anticipated across the country, end quote, said Logan Powell, Associate Provost for Enrollment and Dean of Undergraduate Admission. Quote, we're pleased to welcome an academically excellent class of students and one that remains diverse, although to a lesser degree than previously, end quote. Now, these are my words now. What I'm about to say is they are less diverse than last year if we only look at diversity as racial and ethnic. But diversity comes in all shapes and forms, and I think it's really important that we not just focus on ethnicity and race when discussing diversity. But I digress. Ongoing in this press release, quote, the anticipated declines were based on the experiences of schools in states like California and Michigan, which eliminated the consideration of race in admissions in previous years, Powell said. He asserted that in the new admissions landscape, the university built upon its longtime focus of attracting and enrolling students who not only excel in the classroom, but also demonstrate inspiration, courage, creativity, and leadership. This work will continue. Quote, expanding race-neutral strategies to encourage outstanding and increasingly diverse incoming classes will remain our priority moving forward, end quote, Powell said. Quote, when our student body is both exceptionally talented and representative of a broad array of experiences and perspectives, the Brown educational experience is enriched for all students, and we can make an even greater impact through our scholarship, end quote. Now, again, this is Craig Meister speaking at this point. If they believe so strongly in a broad array of experiences and perspectives, have they done a due diligence audit recently of the number of students who identify as Republican versus Democrat? Have they done an audit recently on the number of students who identify as being conservative versus liberal? Have they done an audit recently on the number of students, undergraduates at Brown, who consider themselves globalists versus nationalists? Because those would be really important things I would think a university would want to do if they actually truly believed that the students should be representative of a broad array of experiences and perspectives. I should also note at this point that last year I did an entire video on Brown's reimagined supplemental essay prompts, and I linked to that video below this in the video description. Definitely make sure to click on it if you are a student who is interested in my advice on how to knock out of the park the supplemental essays that you're going to have to write. They're very short now for Brown in this current era. Now, how long these will be the supplemental essay prompts at Brown, I do not know, but they are the same this coming year as they were last year. So we do have at least one more year to work through them. Ongoing. Quote, below is a brief profile of Brown's 1,725 incoming first year undergraduates. And then they have this chart, and the chart shows that last year there were 2% American Indian, Alaska Native, Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islanders. But this year there are 1.5% of that category. Last year there were 29% Asian, U.S. domestic. All of these numbers, by the way, are U.S. domestic because they're not including international students in these numbers. This is important to note. 29% in 2023, 33% in fall 2024. So the number of Asian Americans has increased. But again, according to Logan Powell, diversity has decreased. The number of Black or African American students who are, again, American domestic applicants has gone down from 15% in fall 2023, i.e. the class of 2027, to 9% in fall 2024, the class of 2028. That's about a third lower than last year. So that is a significant drop. Hispanic or Latinx, as they are referred to at Brown, again, these are U.S. domestic applicants, has dropped from 14% to 10%. Again, just under about a third of a drop there. White domestic applicants has dropped as well from 46% in the class of 2027 to 43% in the class of 2028. But remember, of the U.S. applicants applying, we have, and this is inclusive, by the way, of not just American citizens, it's also legal residents. And for all I know, it's also inclusive of non-legal residents who are domiciled in the United States, but I'll have to double check on that. In any case, the number of, or the percentages have, again, doubled, as Brown said almost, gone from 4% to 6% of people not reporting. More about the undergraduate class. 14% are first-gen students, a slight decline from 15% the prior year. 45% will receive need-based scholarship. 14% are international citizens. The most represented countries are China, Canada, India, the United Kingdom, and South Korea. So right there we know probably 40% of Brown's class is Asian of some sort, Asian American or Asian. 16 incoming students are veterans. And among the most common intended areas of concentration are econ, computer science, bio, engineering, political science, biochemistry, international and public affairs, applied math, English, and where is that Oxford comma? But then finally psychology. And then also, it should be noted that this is coming from the Common App, this information, and they're going to conduct their own census and prepare that later this year. So this is not final information. So that is important to note. Let's keep going with the press release. Commitment to sustaining excellence and diversity. Powell said Brown's commitment to implementing lawful measures to ensure a diverse, talented applicant pool and enrolled class was essential in avoiding a more precipitous decrease in racial and socioeconomic diversity. I've got to believe what's being hinted at there is that Brown changed how it reviews essay responses. For the 23-24 cycle, Brown's admissions team engaged with a wide variety of stakeholders to encourage a diverse pool of applicants and to support admitted students in determining whether Brown was the best fit for them. The university worked with its affinity group to call upon the expertise of Brown's alumni network. Brown also continued its fruitful partnerships with organizations like Questbridge, the Teak Fellowship, and the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation. Jack Kent Cooke, by the way, was not the most pleasant of men, but he created a foundation to provide college access. So that's why the Jack Kent Cooke name is in that, all of which supported talented students from low-income families in pursuing college degrees and service to school, which prepares U.S. military veterans to apply to colleges and graduate schools. The university also expanded the number of community-based organizations visited by admissions staff with a focus on those that serve students from groups underrepresented in higher education, and partnered with other institutions, including historically black colleges and universities, and one of the U.S. military academies for recruitment travel across the country. Quote, Brown's commitment to diverse campus community in every sense remains unchanged. And the first step in admitting a diverse class is ensuring that talented students of every background apply, end quote, Powell said. For the application process itself, the university added 4 short answer questions and reshaped a prior essay prompt with one that asked applicants to reflect on how an aspect of their growing up inspired or challenged them, and what unique contributions that experience would enable them to make at Brown. These changes came in an effort to learn more directly from applicants about their experiences and what they would contribute to Brown. The Supreme Court's ruling was one factor among many in the essay changes, Powell noted. Now, this is Craig Meister again speaking. This is very transparent press release. I mean, they're basically saying they methodically did everything they could in order to work within the system, knowing that no one individually wanted to break the law, to tease out of applicants information that they could potentially use to create the most diverse class possible based off of race and ethnicity. Quote, while some applicants focused on experience related to their identity, others wrote about a range of topics in response to the new essay prompt, everything from impacts of climate change and global conflict on their lives to personal experiences and work in their own communities, end quote, he said. Quote, ultimately, our goal was to provide applicants ample opportunity to detail their skills, talents, I read that backwards, experiences, and ideas as they sought a college education that best fits them. We admitted a class that is academically talented and reflective of the wide range of perspectives and experiences essential for learning and research community. And quote, I laugh because, of course, the colors may change, the countries of origin may change, but the vast majority of Brown first-year students are like-minded when it comes to issues of the day. So wide range of perspectives is really putting lipstick on a pig. That is not the case. The vast majority of Brown students share a worldview. Now, again, there are outliers here and there, but the vast majority march in lockstep when it comes to their perspectives on quite a bit. Brown's admissions team ran a robust matriculation campaign to increase yield among underrepresented populations, including students from low-income families, first-generation college students, military veterans, and students from rural and small-town communities. Amid all these efforts, staff involved in admissions decisions also completed extensive training on how to comply with the law while balancing Brown's commitment to diversity as central to its educational mission. So they need, to basically inculcate in the Brown readers that they're balancing the law with what they want to do to break the law, basically, so that hopefully there are enough people who sort of, without saying it, but telepathically, will do what is necessary to maintain as much diversity as possible, maybe even outside of the bounds of the true law. But if they're not really talking about it, and if they've been inculcated in a particular perspective again, maybe they'll pull it off anyway. Among other outcomes, the Office of College Admission established rigorous protocols for masking information about race submitted by applicants. However, another significant factor, in addition to the court's decision affecting admissions for colleges and universities this year, was the national challenge. It's the federal government produced challenge with the rollout of the free application for federal student aid by the federal government. While it is intended to simplify the federal financial aid application process, the FAFSA rollout was delayed, and many applicants encountered system errors that prevented the required form's timely submission. While Brown requires the submission of the more detailed CSS profile well and was able to make estimated financial aid offers on its typical timeline, the FAFSA challenges may have dissuaded some prospective students, and particularly those with high financial need, from applying for admission. That's ridiculous because ultimately the delays really didn't start percolating into until really after most applications to Brown were due, if not all of them were due. The biggest issues came after January 1st. So that's a red herring. And that's basically to get some alumni, other stakeholders off Brown's back so that Brown can sort of shift blame a little bit, that it's not just on the Brown admissions officers and the Supreme Court. It could also be on the FAFSA. The FAFSA did completely bomb this year, don't get me wrong. But if you wanted to apply to Brown, you were going to apply to Brown either way and hope for the best with the FAFSA. And as was stated, Brown relied on the CSS profile to dole out need-based financial aid. So that's quite the red herring. Let's keep going. Brown to further expand strategies for recruitment. This is really important for those students who are applying to college in the future. Moving forward, Powell said Brown's admissions team will expand on previous measures and implement additional race-neutral strategies to encourage outstanding diverse classes of first-year undergraduates. When they're going to implement additional race-neutral strategies, that's what they're really saying is to get back to what they deem to be neutral, which means they're going to implement further racially conscious strategies, frankly, as many as they can that can't be pinned the tail on the donkey of race. They're going to pull it off if they can at Brown as much as they can to get those numbers back to where they want those numbers to be. For example, beginning with the class of 2029, Brown has reinstated the requirement that applicants submit standardized test scores while increasing outreach to ensure applicants know that scores are interpreted in the context of a student's overall record, background, and opportunities. That is equitable standardized test review right there. That is what was just stated. Basically, what that says is that if you get a 1290 at an underserved city school that is majority minority, specifically the minorities of Latino and Black, that's not gonna hurt you nearly as much if you get a 1290 at a school in California that is 90% Asian American and 10% white. So that is the plain English translation of that sentence right there. An analysis of the university's COVID-era test optional approach suggested that some students from less advantaged backgrounds chose not to submit scores when doing so could have increased their chances of admission. What they're basically saying is, look, some kids hid their scores, they were Black and Latino, and they may have gotten a 1310, and we would have been fine with that from them. We would have been fine maybe even with a 1270 from them. But we didn't know. Maybe they got actually a 990, so we couldn't accept them because they hit their scores. So now we just want to see the scores to be sure that they're like in the ballpark of what we would like to say we can accept. And if that was the case with all applicants, Craig Meister, would be completely for it. If they're basically saying, look, anything above a 1300, you can succeed at Brown across the board, that would be lovely. But Brown is not saying that. Brown is basically saying that we're going to consider your scores in the context now of your overall academic record, your background, and your opportunities, as determined by Brown's admissions office. That's a hugely important a bit of information that you must understand. The committee, again, that recommended reinstatement, said the decision was consistent with Brown's commitment to excellence and equity and will serve to expand access and diversity. So just to be very clear again before we move on, it is completely something you must understand that SATs are no longer going to be considered objectively, even though SAT scores are the last objective measure of academic achievement that are submitted to colleges and universities. Brown is committing to reviewing subjectively objective test scores. Plan accordingly. If you want to get into Brown University, listen up. When you finish your Common App and you want to know If it's as strong as possible, and whether or not in its current condition your chances of admission are impressive, inconclusive, or inadequate, you want my latest product, which is known as my pre-read. Getting my pre-read now means having me review your entire application, just like an admissions officer or admissions committee will review it later, and receiving by email no later than the time you reserve a comprehensive report highlighting what's working and what's not on your full Common App, and in this case, your Brown Common App supplement. If you've yet to submit your Common App to Brown, my pre-read may motivate you to make adjustments to it before your deadline. If you've already submitted your Common App to Brown, my pre-read will prepare you for what I deem to be your likely admissions outcome at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. If you'd like to purchase my pre-read, go to mypreread.com. Again, that's mypreread.com. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one throughout the entire college admissions process, go to my website, which is collegemeister.com. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and most importantly, stay stress-free throughout the entire college admissions process.